object done, right? So first things first, we got to snap him into the right corner. So I'm going to snap him at that point, insert, and grid snap him right there. And last but not least, I'm going to insert, vert, okay, insert, vert, I'm going to snap it to the corner so he's right on the grid. There you go. So he's perfectly adjusted to that corner grid. Okay? Now, I'm also going to insert X snap him. So there you go. So now he is perfectly at the corner. Okay? Now just so you guys can see it, I'm going to mesh separate temporarily. I'm sorry. Mesh separate. And now that same asset that was there, right? Center pivot, I can duplicate it and invert it on its scale. -1. And since no one's ever going to see the top of it because there's going to be like stairs covering it, you'll be fine. Okay? Is that correct, Nate?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this thing's going to be covered by the top, so I'm never going to see those top faces, right?
Right.
Cool. Alright, so it's mesh combined. Now check this out. The reason why I did that is because now I can say, hey, you know what? All you guys up here, now there's now sharing the same coordinate systems here. So watch, if I affect one of those guys in the texture, I can affect them all. So watch this. See that? Or better yet, watch this. So now by texturing one, I'm texturing all and I'm being efficient like that. I'm applying the same texture to multiple meshes. Okay? So with that said, let's go ahead and isolate this guy. Let's export him using the ActorX. Okay? And again, for those of you guys who don't have ActorX, just go to File, Export Selection, and make sure it's an FBX and name it whatever the hell you want. And that'll be I'm sorry, not the hell you want. Obviously, it's going to be pillar_01_mesh. There you go. So I'll show you how to do that for ActorX though. AX mesh. All right. Selected items only. Obey hard edges. Export mesh. I'm going to send it to the desktop for now. Sure. Create 01. Let's go with. I'll sell it to the same folder. Pillar_01 mesh. Okay. So now that I got that guy set up, I got him exported. Let's export the UVs too. So an object like this, since it's pretty small and there's going to be several of them cloning out because they're only for a staircase, I'm going to actually only make them a 512. And make sure your image format is at Targa. Hit let me see. Out UV. I'm going to go to Assets. Nope. Sure, let's go to out. Let's go to Images. I'm going to call this pillar_01_UV. Okay, hit OK. And apply. Alright, so then opening up a new document saved from my texture file. Alright, let's go to Images, pillar_01UV. And here we go. Here's going to be your first sample of working with UVs, okay? And again, your next grade is mostly texture. I'm sorry, it's mostly about UVs. So you don't necessarily have to texture if you're not ready, but at the same time, it's also important to see how your textures work together with your UVs. So give it a shot, okay? So first things first, I got this master layer all as one. I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to call this UVs. I'm going to lock it, okay? And right above between the UV and the background layer. I'm actually going to place well actually first things first, that background layer I'm going to alt backspace and fill it with the foreground color, which is black. And I'm going to go to new folder and I'm going to call this base. Let's go ahead and find some textures that will work with my, let's go ahead and find some my textures. Let's go with some concrete. Alright, let's find a good sample. Extra large icons. So again, using the texture library I have for you guys, this is actually really good. This is perfect. Let's go with concrete dirty. Oh shit, I'm sorry. Also on this UV layer, please take him to screen so that way you can see through it. Okay? Watch, you'll see why that's important in a minute. Go to base. Okay, now let's drag that guy in one more time. That way, every time, no matter what you do, the UVs will always be on top of your work. You see that? Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stretch this guy out a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna take that guy down. I'm gonna rasterize the layer. I'm gonna call this base concrete. Alright, so just you can see right there, that's what it'll look like right now. So let's go to Control Shift S and save a pillar 01 UV, pillar 01 work. And again, please keep this in your assets file, obviously organized accordingly. And let's go and make a new shader. Let's go to Lambert. Again, a new Lambert. Lambert 7, fine. Go to Control A. I'm gonna call this pillar 01 matte. And we're going to apply a PSD to this color node. So hit the color node, wait for it to pop up with the create render node, hit PSD file, and now it's saying, okay, cool, I'm ready to do it. What file do you want? Select the from wherever your directory is. Under images, let's go to pillar 01 work. Okay, and you're going to drag this guy onto here, and check that out. You can see now that we have a default texture. Now, actually, that texture looked pretty damn good. That was actually an amazing selection, but we're not done. This is not done up by a long shot, okay? So let me go ahead and plug in my Wacom so you guys can see how much faster it works with the Wacom. And if you don't have one, please get one. It is just a very good tool to have. Again, even if you're not going to be a texture artist, like using a Wacom in this industry is crucial for a lot of jobs. All right. So we got this cool concrete pillar, right? But we are not done. So let's hop back in, pop these UVs open. And first things first, let's think about this for a second. Where is this this concrete? Where is it at? Nate, describe the asset to me.
It's as in like as far as like being in an alley.
Okay, so it's in an alley. What kind of alley? Description. Just give me just like general adjectives.
It's like a dark, dirty, grimy sort of.
Perfect. Dark, dirty, grimy. See what he said right there? So we have to make the asset look accordingly, right? This asset needs to look like it came straight out of Gotham City. That's your job as an environment artist. You have to sell the audience on the environment, okay? Thank you very much, sir. So hopping into this texture, let's go ahead and let's start texturing this as we should. So next step, I'm gonna start adding some detail layers. So again, I got my base layer. I'm now gonna add the details. On a new layer, I'm gonna call this grime. Remember this grime layer? Remember how much work it did for us last time? Okay, so I'm gonna hit B. I'm gonna go to F5. I'm gonna go to my favorite little brush, brush 36. If anything, let's get saucy. Let's go to brush 60. All right, let's go to shape dynamics. All right, and let's keep the opacity down at 10. Now, one thing we know is if we're in an alley, and this is a pillar coming from the ground, what's gonna be the dirtiest part of the pillar? The bottom. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit up all the assets. Well, first things first, I noticed that in this concrete there's a very specific like crack going right along there. Now I like it, but here's what I'm going to do to make my life a little easier. Watch this. Because notice how right now that crack is on the same size as that one. See how like crack there, and they're just upside down? Well, all you gotta do is rotate this guy. Rotate this dude 90 degrees. Is that low? Let's try that again. Okay. It does not want to work for me right now. Alright. Let's try it again. Well, yeah, let's do this. Go to Object, Mesh Separate. Mesh combine. I'm sorry, let's go to center pivot and let's rotate this dude 180 degrees. So now it looks like there's two different pillars happening here, right? See what I did there? A simple little fix, but no one will ever notice that those assets are the same, okay? So we know that along these edges here is going to be where the textures actually blend in. So let's go ahead and start painting that in. And again, don't worry about being too dark right now at this point. Just come in here and just start painting. Okay, I'm going to come in with an erase brush. Okay, now let's just see what that did for us right now. So just adding those little black streaks. Control S. Let's go back into Maya. Update our texture. Okay, let's break that transparency node. I don't know why it does that. But there you go. Look what we just did right there. What a little bit of grime did for our texture. Cool, huh? Now one thing I'm going to do though really fast is I'm noticing that there's a little bit of a seam. See that, guys? See that seam there? I don't like that. That looks ugly. Let's fix that. The way we're going to fix that is I'm actually going to show you. So breaking this edge in, I'm going to separate it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, that edge, if you notice, it actually connects down there. So I'm going to say, hey, connect back there. And so that edge just went down below. See that? See that edge was here, and that's going to jump there. There you go. Same thing. So break that edge and connect it. Okay, cool. We made that change. And just shift everything back up. Sorry, let's go ahead and zoom in because there's actually 2 sets of UVs laid there. Alright, looks to me now, looks like we got a little bit of a funny issue happening here. Alright, let's go ahead and just, you know what, I'm screwed. I'm just going to cylindrical map these two. There we go. I'm just going to fix my UVs while I'm working for just a second. Forgive me. Okay, I'm going to lay these two out together. Okay, now watch this. Actually, it's perfect because I want to show you some of these tools. Watch this. So if I want to straighten these guys out together, I'm going to grab all these top edges. I'm going to hit this little button right here. And it's going to be align select UVs to maximum V value. Click and adjust them up. Click and adjust them up. So now they're straight on each other. Let's go ahead and put these guys back to where they were. And let's go ahead and shrink them down. Let's put the image back up so I can see where the paint marks are. And I'll tighten everything up. There you go. And last but not least, I'm going to come in here with these edges. I'm going to soften them. Normals, soften edge. So it looks like a little more, a little smoother. Okay, that looks great. Okay, awesome. Okay, now we have a little bit of a seam there, but that's okay. That's gonna happen. So all you need to do is just hide that seam by flipping this guy around. But again, no worries. We can just turn that around like manually, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this asset. Starting to get there, but we need a little bit more creases right there and there. So let's go ahead and hop back into Maya. Let's add more grime. And let's take a look at which line this is. I want to take a look at this guy. Okay, so the very first line right there. Hop back into Maya, I know exactly where to start painting. Making a square selection. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to come in and start painting this shit out. Okay. So it looks like maybe there's like some rain and decay on here. Some rain stains or whatever. Alright, cool. Hit save. And then you can actually update your PSD network by just hitting this. Check that out. Look at that little bit of grime I added. Again, it's not much, but you see how these subtle hints add a little bit to your texture? Right? Let's do it again. Down here. What line is that down here? So I'm looking at it. Okay. So right there, as soon as the lines start bending and twisting. Okay. As soon as the lines start bunching together. So it's going to be right down here. So again, making another selection. Now this guy, on the other hand, I'm actually going to paint him a little dirtier because, again, the ground should be much dirtier than anything else. Okay? I'm actually going to go ahead and Alt backspace a little bit. Control Alt Z will step backwards in Maya. I'm sorry, in Photoshop. Okay, I'm painting a little dark now, but then I'm going to come in just to erase and make edits to my mistakes. Okay, cool. Go ahead, come in here, hit save, update your PSD network. Check that out. It's looking good, right? It's getting there. And again, let's come in from the other side of that. Okay, and let's come in from, make another selection down here. And let's really fuck this up, because it's going to be, again, towards the bottom of the pillar. Okay, and I'm just going to come in kind of like highlight just to erase a little bit more. Alright. Hit save, paint, update PSD networks. There you go. Alright, looking good.
Which button is the update button?
The update button is this little PSD network with the refresh around it.
Okay.
That's it right there. Okay? And if you wanted to get a little saucy, let's just say, I don't know, let's go find let's find a texture. Let's see if we can find some cool cracks. Here we go, fuck it. Asphalt damage. Watch this. Let's add this to the detail layer. Alright, now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come in here and say, and delete all this shit. Whoops. I'm gonna rasterize this layer, delete. I'm sorry, and then hit delete all this shit. Okay, let's Control D. And again, I'm gonna come in here just to erase all this shit out. Delete. Delete. Okay. Now it doesn't look like much right now, but again, we come in here. Let's set this dude to overlay. Check that. See how he blends in, right? And on top of that, come in here and do a bevel emboss. So it's actually cracking down into the concrete. Now it doesn't look good right now because it looks too fragmented. But come in with an erase brush, and we can start to see some really cool shit. So watch this. Let me kick up my strength a little bit to 24. Actually, you know what? The cracks are a little too strong. Let's come into 2 pixel. There we go. That's much better. Let's come in with a 2 pixel crack. And for the meantime, let me set it back to normal so I can erase a little bit easier. Because right now it's blending too hard. Alright, coming in here. What's up? Erase brush. Okay. So again, I'm coming in. I'm just trying to paint all these cracks out. I'm trying to erase everything but the cracks themselves. Alright, cool. So we painted all that stuff. Looks pretty decent. Now let's go to overlay. Check that out. Doesn't look too bad, does it? And again, maybe you sneak that in here and put it in between there. And let's just select the object right there and on the grime layer. Let's paint that selection in a little bit more, just to add a little bit more to it. Control D. Now, hit Control S, save. Update your texture, PSD. And now you got yourself some pretty good detail coming through, right? But at the same time, don't get lazy, because once we have a good asphalt texture, it's also important to come in and just to delete shit too. Because I'm sorry, not at the same time, you want to come in and you want to add another other stroke. So watch. So on the grime layer, I'm going to select that, right? But I'm also going to highlight, make a new layer. I'm going to call it shine, or I'm sorry, just going to call it highs. And on this layer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bevel it up just a little bit. I'm going to bevel it by 2 pixels. And I'm going to set this to white. And I'm going to actually make it a relatively strong white value, but I'm going to make my brush really tiny, like just a pixel big. Okay, I'm going to hit Control Shift I, so I'm selecting everything but the crack. I'm going to paint all the shit around it. Actually, let's take this to like 50. That's fine. So now I'm going to paint all the cracks that are coming from the left-hand side. So again, this is just detailing. You're not going to notice it right away. As a matter of fact, you're probably like, what the hell is he doing? But it's going to come in real handy real soon. Okay. So again, check that out. Just a little bit of painting detail right there. Now again, doesn't look like much, right? But watch, check this out. No detail, detail. No detail, detail. Control save. No detail, detail. So you see how now I'm getting into like texture painting a little bit, just by adding little subtle hints here and there. This is what's going to look good, okay? And last but not least, let's go ahead and add some ornaments to it. Let's see if I can find. Let me see if I can find something. Perfect. Ornament border. Watch this. So I found this from CG Textures. I'm going to bring this into Photoshop. And along the top of this, I'm going to rasterize this layer. And I'm going to, I'm sorry, take that back, scratch it. Control T, I'm going to rotate 90 degrees clockwise. I'm going to delete all this other shit. Okay, deleting that. Control T. Come in here, Control, okay, sure. Hit Control D. Now delete that shit right there. For some reason it doesn't want to delete. Let's try that one more time. What the hell does that mean? There we go, much better. Okay. Let's go ahead and duplicate this guy now. I'm just going to duplicate it just a little bit more. Control T. Bring that guy down. Unselect all that shit and delete it. Okay. And on that ornament layer, I'm going to overlay it so it blends in with the texture. Okay, hit Control S and save. Pop back in. Now watch, PSD, update. Now it's looking cool, right? Now the only problem with that is what would you guys say is the problem with this? It looks like 2 different colors, doesn't it? So watch this. We need to do a matched color. Okay, we need to say, hey, you're not blending right. I need you to blend in with the other textures. So on the ornament border, you're gonna go to Image, Adjustments. And you're gonna go down to Match Color. Okay, and it's gonna say, okay, Source. It's gonna say, okay, well, which document do you want me to use? I want you to use Pillar Own Work, Layer, Ornament Border. Okay, cool. Well, what layer do you? Because I'm already selecting this layer. I don't want it to look like that. I want actually to look like the asphalt damage layer. And look how it blends in. It automatically does it for you. Hit OK. Hit Control S and save. Update. Much better, isn't it? Okay. Now, one thing I'll say though is that it looks to me like one side is still a little too blue. So, actually, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. So the match color did not work as much as I would like it to. So here's the other option. I'm gonna make an adjustment layer, and let's go to color balance. Actually, you know what? Let's go to, take that back. Let's go to hue saturation. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna tell this guy, hey, I want to alt click so it only affects ornament border. Okay. So saturation, I want to desaturate it. That looks much better. Okay, cool. So I desaturated 75%. Awesome. Now, those yellows are coming out a little too strong. So I'm going to desaturate those too. So see how I'm removing some of the color values? And overall it's starting to blend a little better. And let's see, some of the reds. I think there's a little bit too much red. Let's turn the reds down. Cool, let's take that -25. Okay. Hit Control S and let's blend that in together. Let's hit Control E, and now it's a permanent solution. Let's go ahead and update the PSD network, and that looks a lot better, doesn't it? Okay. So this is how you would make a small pillar. So now let's say you're just you're putting these along stairs. Shift D. Control D. Move them over. And there you go. There you got your stair pillars right there. And maybe just rotate them individually, so like, you know, so often so they don't seem so repeating. And maybe you make one that's all cracked and fucked up, and one that isn't. Okay? So you can have maybe several textures, but basically that's pretty much it. That's how UVs are going to apply to your textures, okay guys? So unless you have good UVs, there's no fucking way in hell you're going to have good textures. Okay? So that's how they apply.